Welcome to the Daily Lesson, a podcast powered by AI and grounded in the teachings and original text of A Course in Miracles. I'm Sarah, and I'm here with Marcus, and this is Lesson 16. I have no neutral thoughts.
There's a stapler on the edge of my desk. First thing my eyes landed on yesterday when I sat down to practice Lesson 15. That one was, my thoughts are images which I have made. The exercise was to look at whatever is around you, use its name, and say so, slowly. So I kept my eyes on the stapler. This stapler is an image which I have made. That part went fine. Then, in the name of random selection, I let my gaze drop to the floor and found a spider crawling along the baseboard.
Oh no.
I did attempt to apply the line. What actually happened is I tracked his route across 2 floorboards in a state of moderate alert, and that was the practice period. Under a minute each, 3 periods total. The dog observed the whole operation from the doorway and declined to assist. I'll admit it's a strange feeling, telling yourself the objects in your room are thoughts taking form. Stranger when one of them is moving.
A moving image which you have made. And the lesson did say less than a minute would do if you started to feel uneasy.
I'm claiming that clause, yes.
Then you did it right. And the strange feeling you just named is where today goes. Yesterday was about the images. Today, the workbook walks it back one step, from what we see to the thoughts that make them. And it will not let us call any of those thoughts small. Let me read Lesson 16 in full. Lesson 16. I have no neutral thoughts. The idea for today is a beginning step in dispelling the belief that your thoughts have no effect. Everything you see is the result of your thoughts. There is no exception to this fact. Thoughts are not big or little, powerful or weak. They are merely true or false. Those which are true create their own likeness. Those which are false make theirs. There is no more self-contradictory concept than that of idle thoughts. What gives rise to the perception of a whole world can hardly be called idle. Every thought you have contributes to truth or to illusion. Either it extends the truth or it multiplies illusions. You can indeed multiply nothing, but you will not extend it by doing so. In addition to never being idle, salvation requires that you recognize that every thought you have brings either peace or war, either love or fear. A neutral result is impossible because a neutral thought is impossible. There is such a temptation to dismiss fear thoughts as unimportant, trivial, and not worth bothering about that it is essential you recognize them all as equally destructive but equally unreal. We will practice this idea in many forms before you really understand it. In applying the idea for today, search your mind for a minute or so, with eyes closed, and actively seek not to overlook any little thought which tends to elude the search. This is quite difficult until you get used to it. You will find that it is still hard for you not to make artificial distinctions. Every thought that occurs to you, regardless of the quality which you assign to it, is a suitable subject for applying today's idea. In the practice periods, first repeat the idea, and then, as each one crosses your mind, hold it in awareness while you tell yourself, this thought about blank is not a neutral thought. That thought about blank is not a neutral thought. As usual, use today's idea whenever you are aware of a particular thought which arouses uneasiness. The following form is suggested for this purpose. This thought about blank is not a neutral thought because I have no neutral thoughts. 4 or 5 practice periods are recommended if you find them relatively effortless. If strain is experienced, 3 will be enough. The length of the exercise period should also be reduced if there is discomfort.
Everything I see is the result of my thoughts. No exception, it says. Cause and effect, and the logic is clean. Mind as the cause, world as the effect.
And there's no passive observer anywhere, no seat in the audience, which is the part that got me the first time through. Every thought is doing something.
The idle thoughts part is the piece I'll be chewing on. I've always assumed my mind has a standby mode. Trivial things drift through, nothing registers, no harm done.
The lesson won't give you standby. It says, every thought contributes to truth or to illusion, extending one or multiplying the other. And that leaves no middle setting at all.
One line in there was written for me, though. You can indeed multiply nothing. First claim in 16 days I can check by hand, and the math holds. 0 times anything is 0.
And that's the lesson's own point. All that multiplying, and none of it ever adds up to anything real.
What gives rise to the perception of a whole world can hardly be called idle. That's a high charge. If my minor worries aren't idle, they're actively manufacturing something.
They are, and I'll be honest with you. For years, I read this lesson as a demand. Every thought brings either peace or war, either love or fear. And there I was, responsible for policing every stray thing that crossed my mind. It felt impossible.
A recipe for constant anxiety. If my coffee's cold and I'm irritated about it, apparently I've chosen war.
That's the reading I lived in, yes. Here's what I'd missed, though. The lesson groups every one of those fear thoughts together and then says they're equally destructive and equally unreal. Unreal is the escape hatch. You're not asked to police them. You're asked to stop believing they're nothing.
So the thought costs me my peace of mind, and at the same time it has no substance. That separation helps. It lowers the stakes without letting me off the hook.
That's the balance the whole lesson walks. And it knows what we'll do instead because it says right there that it's still hard not to make artificial distinctions, big worries counting and little ones passing as harmless. That sorting is the habit today aims at.
Sorting is my default state. In fairness, sorting is my profession.
Then today's exercise has your name on it. The manual for teachers says there are only 2 thought systems, and we demonstrate which one we believe is true all the time. All the time. So no corner of the mind gets left unexamined.
Then walk me through it. I want the sequence clear before I'm alone with it.
Today we're inside, eyes closed. You start by repeating the idea slowly. I have no neutral thoughts. Then you search your mind for about a minute.
Searching for what, though? Anything?
Anything at all, and especially the little ones that try to slip past. The lesson says to actively seek not to overlook any of them. Whatever you find, you hold it in awareness and tell yourself, this thought about blank is not a neutral thought. Or, for the one drifting further off, that thought about blank is not a neutral thought.
With the actual thing in the blank. The estimate, the spider, whatever surfaces.
No sorting allowed. And the frequency is spelled out for you. 4 or 5 practice periods if they feel relatively effortless. 3 if there's strain. If there's discomfort, shorten the period itself.
So the uneasiness sets the dose again, not enthusiasm.
Your own uneasiness decides it, every time. Then through the day, there's a longer form for any thought that arouses uneasiness the moment it shows up. This thought about blank is not a neutral thought because I have no neutral thoughts.
Catch it while it's happening, not in the practice period after.
That's the move. The cause goes back where it can be changed.
Eyes closed, under a minute, 4 or 5 times if it's effortless. Start by saying it slowly, and I suspect the searching will be the easy part. It's believing none of what I find is neutral that'll take me longer than it takes you.
It took me years, so you have a head start. That's the practice. And for the rest of the day, nothing we think is off the books.
Not even thoughts about spiders.
Especially those. This thought about the spider is not a neutral thought. Tomorrow is Lesson 17.
I'll be here with the stapler.